National Parks Traveler. Postcards from the parks.
Nancy Hershberger.
Yeah.
And so you have a unique approach to quilting.
Well, maybe. I don't think it's so unique because there is a whole world of art quilters out there who do their own thing. And what I do is I fuse fabric onto the batting, and then I use inks and sometimes paints, but on this one in particular, inks, just to help boost the illusion of glass or wood grain.
Okay, and what we're looking at right now is from a photograph you took from the inside of the Palmer
That's
cabin,
right.
looking
Yeah.
out the window across the landscape. And so you are transposing that photograph through your artistic talents into a quilt of sorts.
Into a quilt, that's right. Yes, it is really a quilt. It's just not made to put on your bed. It's made to hang on the wall and to be viewed from a slight distance. But you know what's really interesting? When you say it's a quilt, when the minute you say it's a quilt, people will be standing out here and they immediately walk up inches from the surface and they want to touch it because they want to feel the texture.
Yeah.
The actual texture. So anyway, yeah, people get close to quilts, whereas if it were really a painting, they would step back. I just thought that was interesting.
Now, you say that the fabric is fused.
Yes.
How explain that?
Okay. So the fabric, it's kind of like glue. Actually, it is a glue. I'll show you. Now, this is not something for radio, but you can, for a recording, but I can show you what it is. It is a sheet. It's like a sheet of glue with no paper backing. You have to use a Teflon pressing sheet, and you would adhere the glue to the back of the fabric. I keep wanting to show you because
Really
it's so much easier to explain.
challenges your sense of description, your ability to describe
Yes.
things.
It's just glue.
It's just glue. But
It's just glue, but it's made for fabric, and it's very, very light, and you can stitch through it very easily. But I like to use several different things, like the fusible for one, because it makes it really easy and really fast to construct it first, and then to fill in the details. There are a couple of things that I really love to do, and that is to use the inks to push that illusion of wood grain or this plaster that's, falling off. And then again, thread. You can do so much with thread. You can use it as part of the composition. As opposed to holding the layers together, This is doing more than holding the layers together. This becomes part of the piece.
Sure, and just to help our listeners understand, I mean, you've got, the Palmer cabin was built in the late 1800s, and so it was a log cabin, and so you've got all this different textures to create, so to speak, as well as the plaster chinking, and then this gorgeous window looking out across the landscape, and so you've got the grays and the browns and the buffs or the plaster colors of the interior of the cabin, and then you're looking out across this bucolic landscape of green pasture, I guess it is, or fields, and then the forests, and then the light blue sky. And of course, in the foreground, inside the cabinet, you've got a nice brown pitcher and a silver cup.
Right.
And so, how do you create all those different colors? I mean, do you paint it, or?
Yes and no. Most of these fabrics are commercial fabrics that I bought at a quilt shop. Some of these are hand-dyed fabrics. And the sky, these shrubs, the shrubbery in here, these are actually commercial, but this is a hand dye, and sky fabric is hard to, you just can't buy that. So I hand paint it in a way that the paint acts like a dye. And same way with this. This is actually commercial fabric, but it wasn't the right color. It wasn't the right value. So while I was here, I hand painted this fabric, but I do it in a way that the paint is really watered down so that it doesn't change the hand of the fabric. Typically, an acrylic paint, even an acrylic paint that's made for fabric, will sit on the surface. And it treats the whatever fabric it's applied to like canvas, and it's really thick and it's hard to stitch through. And that's just one element that painters don't have. But as a quilter, you don't want to apply an acrylic paint because you have to follow up with the next step in the process. So what I do is water the paints down, I take them out, and I just, I do it really fast. And you'd be surprised at the kind of texture you can get with just a little bit of paint. It's amazing, especially when you do a sky.
And again, these are more artworks than actual physical quilts that you would throw across a bed or a couch.
Right. They're not for a bed. They're not to lay on your lap when you're sitting on the couch. They're really meant to hang on the wall, just to look at.
Would they fall apart if somebody tried to use it as a bedding quilt?
Well, no, they wouldn't fall apart, but they're really not meant to be used. I do use silk batting. I use all natural fabrics. I'm on a one-woman crusade to do without poly batting, get rid of poly batting, use natural fibers. But that's my thing. So I use silk batting because the weight of silk batting is much lighter and it hangs easier, and it's lighter. It's not going to pull so much.
Yeah. Now this is, I don't know, I guess roughly 3 by 4 foot, would you say?
It's 35 by 44 inches.
Pretty close. Is that the biggest you make, or
No.
how big do you go?
I can show you a picture of one that I didn't bring along because it is really big. It's 58 inches wide by 64 inches long, and it was inspired by the Dark Hollow Falls at Shenandoah National Park. I was there last year, and Shenandoah, every park has its own story. And when I went there on a mission to find the water at Shenandoah, because Shenandoah is really all about the vistas, right?
Yeah, but it's got a lot of water in it.
Yeah, but it makes you work to find it. Kind of, sort of.
Kind of,
You
sort of.
hike more than I do. But anyway, Dark Hollow Falls, which isn't far from the road,
Yeah,
but it's a 500-foot descent.
Yeah.
It's pretty steep.
yeah.
But it's worth every aching muscle and joint to get there because it is so beautiful the way it cascades toward you from, a distance.
Yeah.
It's just gorgeous. Anyway, that's pretty much the biggest. No, I've done another one that was a lot bigger. It was actually bed size. Yeah.
So do you just focus on national parks?
Well, right now the national parks are a big inspiration. Every year I target an area to apply to. So I guess yes. I guess the short answer is yes. I find every park has something that just blows you away. And here it was the view from here, from this cabin. You're standing inside an 1860-something cabin, but from one window in one direction, you are looking into the present and the future. You're looking out at what's happening right now. But you turn around and you look out the other direction, you see what the park is doing to restore the soil, to restore the native prairie grasses. Fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
Love it.
Do you have a website? I mean, where can
No.
people see your work?
I don't have a website.
So you don't want to sell anything then?
I don't want to say that. It's just that the website thing is a rabbit hole I just don't want to go into right now. But I am on Facebook at Nancy Hershberger Artist.
Okay.
That's my Facebook page, and that's where I put photographs that I've taken.
And folks can see some of your works there and figure out if they want to purchase one, how to contact you and do that?
Well, yeah, they can see my work, and if they're really and truly interested, sure, reach out. I'm happy to chat.
Are you happy to sell?
I'd be really happy to sell a piece, yes. That would be awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Nancy. It's really fascinating what you've done here. And,
Thank you.
It's gorgeous. And I'm going to check out that Facebook page because I want to see some of the other parks you've been to and what you've done with them.
All right, thank you.
All right.
National Parks Traveler is a 501c3 nonprofit media organization providing daily editorial coverage of national parks and protected areas. Traveler's coverage is made possible by reader and listener donations. Visit us at nationalparkstraveler.org.